Hello and welcome to the 38th episode of Into the Rift. I'm your usual host, Stephen Wynn. I messed up the first recording because I actually streamed to my private stream. So, I think 30 people got the email notifications. I want to try to do this again. Maybe I'll do a little different intro. So, with me here, I've got the same panel as I do last week. I've got Emily Wren, who's the writer at Low Esports, Liquid Legends, and Follow Esports. Alright, how are you doing?
Good.
Alright, then I've got Nasser, used to be GP10, currently Follow Esports. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'd be better if I didn't fuck up the first take. And then I got Stillwell, usual shit poster, upset Jin Air fan. How are you?
Doing well.
Alright. Unfortunately, this isn't the year of Jin Air for you. But luckily, it's not Season 6 yet, so you're not wrong just this moment. But it still
The calendar,
still sucks
it's not
to be you.
2016, so
Alright, so we're gonna go over the round of 8, round of 12, and then kind of go into the round of 4 a little bit, which is going to be later tonight. Casted by, of course, Froscieren and Sifa, who are both used to be on the show, so awesome. Anyway, it's going to be a pretty quick show, so let's get right into it. First off, let's talk about Kindred. Most of us, you guys, all three of you were pretty much wrong when you said, like, probably not going to see Kindred. I was right, so suck it.
yeah.
Do we have anything like important to say about Kindred though, as a whole? Lyra destroyed game 1. But-
Hilarious.
And he didn't even he made a ton of mistakes in it.
Yes,
It
he
wasn't
did,
like-
but it
I
still
I think
worked
that
out.
was probably the worst part. Is
I don't think, I don't think we saw good Kindred play,
No.
but the champ is so overtuned right now that
That's because right now
So-
Kindred is like incredibly snowballing. You get enough marks early game, you're just gonna do so much damage later on, right?
it's a little.
I know me and Nasser have had some time to experiment around with the new patch changes today. Nasser, do you think the new items are gonna make Kindred in the jungle extremely broken, or do you think she's gonna be played in bot lane?
I think she's still a good jungler. They haven't really done much to her kit with the new patch, and the jungle camps are weaker in general on average, so her clear time is even faster, and she can level up and scale even better. And yeah, and because the game is so snowbally even more than before. So if she gets a kill now, yeah, she just gets incredibly strong, and the enemy team, especially if you get the Rift Herald, and with Kindred, it's just so good. I predict that it's still gonna be strong until they nerf some of the damage on her kit.
Alright, that's fair. Well, that's gonna be a lot of speculation, so I don't want to get too much into that. Let's move on to the actual cusp book. Alright, first off, CJ Entus. The team that all of us wanted to lose is now in the semifinals. Why did we want them to lose? Why did I want them to lose? I'm a long time CJ. I'm a long time CJ fan ever since not late season 2, because I was totally butthurt about the Woong looking at the map thing, but moving aside, season 3 and onwards, huge fan. And I want them to replace Shy and Ambition. I said this last week, and they won. Emily, I know you love CJ as much as I do, so why don't you tell us all about CJ at the Custom Cup?
I just love how in the round of 12 we have Anarchy beating Najin, we have Ever beating Samsung, we have Svenu beating the Tigers, and then the one team, the one upset that I wanted was that winners over CJ, and they almost did it, and they just couldn't close out.
Couldn't close up the games, and
There-
I was just so heartbroken.
They're a band of brothers just fighting one last time for
Yeah.
some victories.
No
Um,
expectations.
Like Shy, he's like
Shy, he
we,
had that, yeah.
we didn't expect to make it to the semis. We were trying hard. It might be our last time together.
God, I would be okay with that one, because at least he gets out. Get a new
How
top
bad is
laner,
that?
Get a new jungler.
How sad is that? They're just this one last time. They're just trying to place as high as they can, and everyone else just wants them to fail, crash, and burn.
I mean, I think
It's
I
their,
can say
it's
they're-
for their own good.
Yeah, the reason I want them to fail is not because I like hate the players. It's just I really want management to invest in like new younger talent.
Translation: she
Um,
just really wants ambition out of there because she hates this jungle fat thing.
what are you talking about? I think he's a fantastic.
Yeah, sure. Why don't you tell me all about ambition's exciting jungle fat thing?
Ambition is better than score.
Yeah, better than score,
Uh,
the second best jungler in Korea.
well, the supposed first best jungler of Korea didn't play
Yeah.
in that matchup, so
Oh,
that was actually pretty interesting because I think what we did see from CJ against Jinair, and Aaron probably has a lot to say about the way Jinair played, but
We'll get to dinner
I
soon.
think in that matchup specifically, I will say that what we saw was that CJ was very used to playing with each other. So when the time came to make like teleport plays or group up for fights, they were definitely a lot more coordinated, especially like that second game with Jinair. Jinair just, they had all the tools to win and they just couldn't coordinate well enough to fight around that Vigar, and it was just really sad to me. But I do think that Jinair does have a lot of potential to be very good. But they just obviously aren't on the same page with their new players quite yet.
Yeah, like that
Yeah.
second game versus CJ was. They had two
Tough.
chances to just win the game with Dragon 5 and yeah, it's just like they had a Veigar with 1,000, more than 1,000 AP. All they needed to do was just group around Dragon, and they had an Ashe, they had an Elise, they had a Tahm Kench. All they had to do was just start Dragon and just have the Veigar, have the Ashe like around the outside of the entrance, just to zone them out, and they would have just gotten Dragon and then won a team fight and then win the game. But they failed that on 2 accounts, so it was just very frustrating to watch. And
they had this like they had that like really good pick comp, but they couldn't like Emily said, it was all coordinate. I think it was just coordination issues that were just going on. Like you could tell that they only had a handful of games together because things just weren't clicking properly. People weren't in the right positions whenever they needed to be. So it's something that should get better with time. You can definitely see the potential with players like Sowon and Kuzan. I don't know what Winged's doing there, but hopefully we get to see Chaser at IEM. Hopefully.
Yep.
Don't let me down, Jenner management.
Like
Come on.
individually, all the players except maybe Wing played at a really high level.
Right.
But just as a team, they were just not cohesive enough.
Yeah.
And that's something that hopefully will come with time.
Yeah, it should be good. I mean, it looks hopeful. Some people probably think like losing to CJ is just a total like, wow, like you guys lost to basically 4 corpses and a Coco. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, the individual play on all these players, I think everyone can, everyone kind of agrees that they're individually very good players, and I think they fit together well. So give it some time. I think they'll be contenders next year.
All right. So that being said,
we should talk about Najun, the rookie, the young players that also did not.
That failed.
Oh, I was actually just to bring up Najun specifically because I want to talk about Anarchy. That's set. So let's talk to KT first. They didn't play with. I'm sorry, Najun. Emily, your other favorite team. Take us through KT. Why do you keep saying KT? Najun.
KT actually is my favorite team.
I know, but like, I'm trying to mock you, but I'm so tilted over messing up the first
The sarcastic favorite team. If you want to go back and like make me sad that Black Sword went to Worlds instead of KT. So Najun versus Anarchy. I mean, the Kindred was definitely in play in that game, but aside from that. Duke had a rare, like, bad series, which
was very disappointing.
Was sad for me to see because in the off season and also while people were watching Worlds, I've been one of the huge proponents of, like the best top laner in the world. It's not even at Worlds. And then, like, if anyone did hear me saying that and then watch this game, they're like, Ari, like, you're crazy. Because he did not have a good series.
Yeah, unfortunate.
I thought OQ was fine. Like,
yeah.
he did well. But on the whole, they just seemed really sluggish. And
Tank was even worse than Duke.
Yeah.
Just as bad.
Yeah, it kind of looked like they didn't really know what they were doing.
Yeah. I'm actually a bit worried for Tank. I don't know if he... I'm not sure how good he actually is.
Yeah, I didn't think Tank was particularly good. I think his playstyle does fit CJ. It fits Najin a lot better than Goong. He's an upgrade to Goong. Like,
yeah.
Don't,
but I think if they can
don't get me wrong here, he is better than Goong. But
if they can manage to get another mid,
right. I think if you can get someone like Frozen, Frozen man, Najin, or if you can get Frozen or
Easy Hoon.
Easy Hoon's there.
Do we know?
I mean, I don't think Easy Hoon's leaving.
Yeah, I don't even know if he's leaving.
Right. One of BDP or Coco. I mean, these are players that I think would definitely be upgrades to Tank. But if Tank stays, I think he could mesh pretty well. Just playstyle wise, I don't know how good he is individually. I don't think he's particularly good. But
from what I saw from that series, Tank wasn't. We kind of predicted it earlier. Like Tank wasn't like necessarily a positive, but he wasn't a negative either. Like at least not a. He kind of played better than Duke in that series.
Ooh, that third game was, yeesh. That was some rough Twisted Fate play by him. I think it was.
I'm not sure if he was comfortable from that. I know he relatively plays the same champions over and over again.
Yeah,
so
I
he
don't
might have
know.
been going out of his comfort zone. That's not.
He's like a Twisted Fate main. And
he
so
is.
It's,
Okay, that's even worse.
But he played like Growth Score
Uh,
in his master promos.
It was a pretty rough game for him, but I think that's like one of those outlier type games. Like you're not going to see very many 07 and 5 Twisted Fate games from him.
Yeah, he like gated into 4 people by himself. It was
okay. So here's my main question about Najin. But ignoring the fact that even though Duke destroyed Ixu in the regular season with like 100 CS late and like losing him in the series, let's ignore that for now. Tank. Do you still want, just based on this series alone, which might not be enough, do you still want Tank over Goong or Goong over Tank?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Over
Yeah.
Goong still?
You want anything over Goong.
Yeah.
Like,
Get rid of legacy players.
like
it's hard. It's hard to say because it's not like Tank came in and, like I remember seeing the shot of them in the booth before and I was like, yes, they're playing Tank and Peanut finally. And like, then they lose. But I want them to stick with this roster. And I feel like they should have turned to this roster a lot sooner. And had they, maybe this roster would have a lot more experience playing together.
Mhm.
I think
So yeah.
the worst thing that like they can do here is reverting back to Goong or Watch. I think cut the cord, let them go, let the birds fly, and bring in Tank, Peanut, and just mesh it together.
Peanut played pretty decently.
I thought Peanut was pretty solid.
Alright.
It was mainly Duke and Tank and just the team not looking a bit rusty.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Duke, honestly. So anyway, I don't want to stay too long on Najin, yet they only have one set anyway. Let's move on to Anarchy, who they fought and lost to. Now, Anarchy used to only win on the back of Mickey Gun. This time, though, they honestly looked like they had a plan. Like, they have a more general idea of what they want to do each game.
Yeah,
Do you agree or disagree with that?
I agree because you actually saw them playing the side lanes really well actually, especially like Mickey just moving over to the side lanes, pushing them out and then them setting up for objectives. They look smarter, they look prepared. I was really impressed watching Anarchy in that set.
I mean, it was a definite step up from like whenever they played in the regular season, where it was basically kind of give all the resources mid lane, and mid game it's just basically up to Mickey making picks.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't
Also-
make picks, then Anarchy flops.
Like Lero was making plays mid, top, bot. He was
Yeah.
everywhere, pretty active. You know, they seemed prepared.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like funnel everything onto Mickey.
Also, Sangyun's Ash ults were pretty on point that series. So, pretty good
Yeah.
champ for them, just to make the engages that they want.
I will say, I think, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit later on when we get to the Tiger Svenu series as well. I do think this is definitely probably a result of the fact that I'm pretty sure the supposed lower tier teams prepared a lot more for this tournament than the regular OGN teams, or that's definitely what it seemed like. SK Telecom, T1 aside. So I think that what you're seeing here is also a combination of Najin likely not preparing, and then Anarchy also playing significantly better than we saw them play in the regular season. I have been a proponent of Lyra and saying that he isn't as bad as everyone says he is, so I was really glad he showed up in this series. I think their series later on was a little but
The best way to describe it.
I watched this, and then what was the other series was Samsung Ever, and I was like, oh god, this is a bad series. At least Anarchy played really well, right? It was a combination of Najin did poorly and Anarchy played well, and with Samsung Ever, it was just both teams weren't impressive whatsoever. And then when Anarchy and Ever met, it was kind of still. So especially in the third game, neither team seemed to know how to win, so they just kept handing the map back and forth to each other. So I think they still have work to do, but I liked what I saw from them in the Najin series.
All right. So while we're still on the topic of Anarchy, we're going to go into the next team soon. This is going to be for kind of a recurring question that's going to go on when we discuss some of these newer teams. We've seen the rise of Netcafe teams. Yes, first of all, I know it's Korea, I know it's PC Bangs, but it was right after EDG lost to a Netcafe team in Nesso Cup that was going on at the same time, which is why we're calling it Netcafe teams. It also sounds funnier to me. So we're going to be talking about the rise of Netcafe teams and whether or not it's legit or not. Moving onwards, let's talk about Ever. We talked about Ever a little bit. Let's talk about Ever more, especially because they're going to be playing tonight. So Ever, are they a legit Netcafe team in the workings, or are they just lucky?
I think there are pieces of Ever that I think are pretty legit.
I think Key is very good, or from what I saw from him, his Bard and his Tahm Kench play were very good.
Right, his Bard play was some of the best I've seen. There's not a lot of good Bards out there, surprisingly.
QIL.
I was actually really surprised that champion never caught on, but he looked really, really good on that champion. He was making really good engages, really good disengages. He knew how to use the ult really well, just making picks. So, props to Key.
Single-handedly controlling their team fights in some of those games where they definitely should have lost.
That's fair.
But he was the player that impressed me the most on Ever.
I thought the piece was, I think Crazy was pretty good. I think Crazy has. I haven't seen much of these players, but I thought Crazy looked pretty good. He was making plays. You could tell he's definitely in tune with these top lane carries. So I don't know where else he fits. And I think a lot of the mistakes he was making were Marin type of mistakes, where he doesn't get out of a dive quick enough. He doesn't ward where he should be, or where he should, or when he should. He'll overextend. These are mistakes that I think will be fixed over time. With more experience, but I think playmaking wise and just individual skill, I think he was pretty impressive.
Do you think Crazy will be picked up by a bigger team, or? We're all for perpetuating the rise of just talent, new talent.
Right.
So do you think
He'll probably compete in Challenger.
That's
I could
fair.
see him compete in Challenger, or I think he could probably be picked up by a team like IM or even Anarchy.
Yeah,
Even X2's not very good.
yeah.
But, I mean, I think, yeah, Crazy could definitely compete in Champions from what little I've seen. The other three on the team weren't particularly
Maybe he'll
good.
get picked up by IM and then picked up from IM to become a god. So,
So
we'll see
that he
about
just
that.
like
It's the stepping
stock to
stones.
skyrocket.
All right. And aside from Ever, we don't have to stay on this for too long because like I said, like even though we kind of watch the games, we still don't really know them that well compared to other teams. So let's talk about Spenu. Spenu was kind of a surprise for us. Who wants to go first?
Flawless. Not
And he got flawless.
not the team, the player.
The player. The player.
The player is really good.
I think-
I'm so hyped for this kid next season. I think he could potentially contend Chaser for the best jungle.
He's very, very talented. Like, I don't know, you can just tell, like, individual mechanic-wise, this guy is really, really, really good. He just turned 17, didn't he?
I
I'm
think
not 100%
he's
sure.
really young, too. So, man, he was really good. He showed off. His Lee Sin is incredible. It's probably the best Lee Sin I've ever seen. Between what he showed on the Challenger, what he showed in the Challenger promo matches, what he showed in solo queue, what he showed in these two sets, like, that's insanity.
Yeah. He's just a really good, aggressive, active jungler, and we don't have a lot of those right now, like in Season 5, so
Right.
he's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Yeah, he turns 17 in July. I'm just happy because remember that like one crazy prediction I made where it was like, well, if Flaw just poops on Hojin, but then it ended up being Wisdom. So I was like, yes, bring back carry junglers, and then of course everyone in my Twitter feeds like they're not coming back. I'm like it's dead. Just let it die.
All right. I think the only thing to not get too hyped up about, there's lots to be hyped up about with him, but just looking at the junglers he's been going up against, he's faced Wisdom, he faced
Bengi.
Bengi and Lyra. So, wait.
It's just Bengi,
Right.
and Wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah.
I-
So,
yeah, true, but I don't know. Like that's like I guess he has to face Score and Chaser, but
I mean, I want to see more, just
Yeah.
because I think he's extremely fun to watch. Like, I could watch this guy's solo queue matches for days.
yeah. And also another player we have to mention is Sassen. I think he's slowly but surely growing into like a solid Korean mid.
Right. Like, Sassen and Nuclear were the two players that I think everyone kind of thought were solid off Spenu before, like, Flaw came in. I don't know, the thing about Sassen is that he has just a massive champ pool, and he plays everything at a solid level.
I really enjoyed the Vel'Koz pick.
Yeah,
I
that
think
was
I think it's a pretty good pick into Rise just because of
Yeah.
all the CC and the kite ability. It just annoys Rise, and that true damage just burns through Rise's shields and health.
Like, you can kite Rise for days with Vel'Koz
Yeah,
if you
like-
land it properly, and
Yeah, just
Sassen's Vel'Koz was
slows, knockups, more slows, true damage, and
Yep.
just annoys Rise. Like Rise needs to be up close and personal to do anything, and Vel'Koz is just a really good pick into that to just stop that.
So that all being said, what do you think of Spenu? Like, I'm basically in my head calling Spenu Night Cafe team because of how bad they did last this past year. So,
Oh god.
do you think Spenu is going to be really really good next season, or do you think this is a result of teams not preparing for Cosmo Cup? Because we did express the concern last week.
Yeah, that could be.
think-
Sorry, go ahead. I think they could be, but they still need a roster change. I think in the top lane.
Top.
Okay.
Papa Smithy suggested Trace on Spenu, And that would be
Actually,
pretty
that'd be
nice.
really nice.
That would be really
yeah.
good because he has the experience. He's a great utility tank top, which they need because they already have Flawless, Assassin, and Nuclear. So he'd just be a really good addition to that team.
Yeah, that'd be a perfect fit, actually. I'd really like that.
Like-
I think. Oh, I was just gonna say this is also a combination of I think the Tigers definitely probably didn't have a lot of time to prepare
I don't
for
think
this
so.
tournament either.
Mhm.
Right.
Whereas Svenu, I know, like, if you haven't already, Grace EXO Prestige has done a ton of stuff on her Tumblr, which is Barentimer. She's translated a ton of interviews with them, actually, that are really insightful and interesting. Like, there's one with Flaw in particular that's really good prior to this tournament. So, and it's obvious that they put in, like, a lot of practice and prep time for this. So I was really happy that they performed so well. But I don't think so. I think they'll be better than last split for sure. I mean, it's kind of hard to be honest. It's hard to be worse than what they were last split. But in terms of showing significant improvement, actually being an up and coming team that will be fun to watch, I think they will be that this split.
Yeah. Some roster moves probably need to be made, just top lane wise. I think Secret serviceable, but Nuclear, Sauce, and Flaw, that is a very good core that you can work with and grow on. I think, like, yeah, they beat Ku, but again, like I said, I don't think
Yeah,
Ku
I don't really want to
practice
that
much.
series, right? Not so much as them. How do you think they performed against SKT? That's the real question. Like compare. I know they lost, but like, how would you say that them as a team is during that set? Better than before, obviously.
They
took a get. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say they showed, like, for example, with the Vel'Koz pick and just the way they played the map. I think they showed a fair amount of cleverness and thoughtfulness that I had never seen from that team, to be quite honest. Like, anytime in Champions, even in their wins, of which there are like 8 total, like 8 total games. Not series games in total. So I think now they will be kind of, and Samsung performed abysmally in this tournament, but like last split, Samsung was that up and coming team that was like really fun, and they threw out some weird compositions that oddly had like a lot of thought behind them, so they could take games off of pretty much anyone. And I think Svenu is likely transforming into that type of team.
Okay. So enough about Svenu for now. Let's talk about. Actually, I'll save SKT just because. We don't really need to say much about SKT, do we? Is there anything to say about SKT other than the fact they're probably winning this tournament?
They're gonna win.
In the world.
They're just showing up and winning.
Yeah, they're the best team in the world. I don't even think they needed to practice.
They're like,
this at all.
Scout is like, please, can I
Let
play?
me play.
Faker's like, no.
Alright, so let's actually
Also,
talk about
like,
winners a
their
little bit.
competition. It's gonna be Ever,
mhm.
CJ, or it's gonna be Ever first, right? And then whoever they face, it's gonna be KT
CJ or KT.
Like,
And let's keep in mind they 3-0'd KT the last, like, in one of the most disgusting finals ever.
Yeah.
Last time they played, like, it's SKT's just on a tier above everyone else, and it's kind of sad, but
And
good for them. They're rewarded for paying their players properly, I guess.
Yeah, I hope that gap closes because it's not fun to watch.
Alright, let's talk about winners just a little bit, because we were talking about the Netcafe teams. While they did lose to CJ and disappointed everyone on this panel, me especially, they did show promise. They did take a game off of them, and they could have won the other games. Do you think we'll be seeing a lot more of them soon? Do you think we'll see a specific player being picked up by a team? Or do you just think they'll play Challenger for now? Did Gank Zero live up to the hype?
He's always had a small champ pool, so I don't know. He's been like one of those. He's like a Chris of Challenger in Korea, where like he's Good enough to compete at the top of Challenger, but I don't think he's good enough to compete at the bottom of LCS. Good enough to compete at the bottom of Champions.
Not even with the 80 carry buffs? You're not sure?
And well, every other 80 carry is getting those buffs too.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, if he only got the buffs, maybe. But I don't know. He wasn't very good. Winners is kind of a negligible team. I'm not really thinking much of them.
Is there anything else to like discuss about Winners? Anything, or just that they show promise?
I don't even
I think
really
that answers,
like.
man.
At
Plus
least
the
you
silence.
could, yeah, like at least you could look at Ever and be like, okay, there are like bits and pieces that were kind of impressive, but
Right.
Winners just kind of were like, eh. Like I was rooting for them to beat CJ so that CJ will make roster changes.
Right, like
Not really because I liked Winners or thought they were any good.
right, like I think Winners they got their win, and I don't think it was so much that they were good, that they were really good. It was just the fact that CJ's not very good, and they still kind of struggled a bit. So it's Winners. I don't know. They're like a decent Korean Challenger team, and most Korean Challenger teams are really bad. So
All right, so we're pretty much done discussing all the general the NetCafe teams. So what's your final assessment? Is this actually the rise of NetCafe teams or no?
Well, with Pop 187 in China and
qualified to get into the for
right.
the LSPL promotion tournament.
Yes, they did.
right?
they're
So
moving on up.
We might see more of them, like from NetCafe to LSPL. You know, like,
And you got Ever in the top 4. I'm feeling a rise of the NetCafe team. Feeling it.
What a story it
get
would
to-
be to be a NetCafe team and then just make it to the World's Finals. What if it?
that would be like saying Anarchy make it to the like Anarchy was like the true,
Anarchy looks better.
They
Oh,
were the
maybe.
true
I don't know.
NetCafe team though last
That's-
year. Like
right.
they literally came together in NetCafe, did not have a sponsor.
They didn't
Like
have a
when they first won, okay, and Mickey God got his like his MVP, literally like the entire audience cleared out and it's just them sitting in the front row holding up signs being like Mickey God, like it was the most adorable thing ever. Like their coach is still Hachani, right? Like
Yes, it's still a Chinese.
Oh,
like they are still kind of a NetCafe team.
And that's why I'm an Anarchy fan, though. Just because of that, what's serious? All right. All right. Well, let's just move on from that then. It's honestly like we love to joke about it. It's honestly my favorite new meme moving forward, and I'm gonna be using that in season 6.
I don't
But
know, man.
let's-
5.5 fucking K is a pretty good one.
That's my
We'll
meme.
be calling all the NA teams that cafe teams. All right.
Oh yeah. They're basically.
All right, let's move on to the round of 4. That's going on tonight. And especially because these teams are more well known for the majority of us, so we'll actually be able to talk about them, or maybe not. We'll see. Let's talk about Ever versus SKT first, just because we've been talking about Ever for a little bit more. Do we expect it to be 2-0, or do we think Ever has a chance to make one game?
No.
Okay.
I think Ever's
I'll,
going to do
I'll
well.
ask this question then.
This isn't like Svenu, okay? Like, like I can't believe I'm saying this. It's like Ever is a worse team than Svenu. Like,
Alright, so are we saying
they're
that there's
not-
no chance that they'll even take a tier 2 tower off of them? Because that was the challenge we had for Origin at Worlds.
Hey,
do you think Ever
right.
will take one tier 2 tower off SKT?
You know, it took a lot of hard work to get those second tier turrets for us, okay? So I don't think Ever are gonna do it, and if they do, then that's like I'll feel bad. Like then you can just compare Origin to Ever.
Alright.
Nestor is put into some existential crisis whenever somehow takes a game off of SK Telecom.
Like, what am I doing with my life?
Alright, well, I'm just gonna assume everyone here is saying 2-0.
It should be a really, really easy and stompy 2-0 in favor of SKT. Should be, but you know, anything is possible.
Alright, so from the the three of these guys, the SA2O, I'm gonna keep believing the Netcafe teams because we didn't believe last week and see what happened. I'm saying 2-1 for SKT. They're gonna take one game off SKT, and it's because they threw really hard. Maybe there's the 1% chance I'm banking on that. It's a good thing I'm not a gambler. Moving onwards, let's go KTCJ, the Emily's favorite team and her actual favorite team. Aaron, go first. Who do you think is gonna win this?
Man, I think KT should win this. This should be a pretty comfortable win for KT. But CJ's riding some sort of voodoo magic at this point. It is like keeping their players alive. So who knows what's going to happen? We saw with KT whenever they played Fixer instead of Pickwood, you definitely saw a total lack of like coordination. Pickwood was their main shot caller. You take away. We all saw what KT looked like before they had Pickwood, whenever they got him like midway through summer. And whenever they got Pickboo, everything after, they went 7-1 in Champions. They got to the finals. They went to Worlds. They made quarters. They're a completely different team with Pickboo. So if they play Pickaboo, it should be a fairly easy win for KT. But they might play Fixer for some reason because Korean teams just love to play with their rosters like it's food. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think Coco is just playing really well right now. It's not out of the realm of possibility that CJ can beat KT.
Right.
And for some reason, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the CJ win.
You're only going to be disappointed at the end. Learn from experience. All right? You cover NA, CLG fans, it's kind of like the same thing. Right? It's just disappointing you in the end.
Yeah, there's one more, like 2 more brackets. They should just win this one and then lose. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh God, if they make finals, they're going to beat SKT. Like,
Oh God.
All right,
they're going to beat SKT. They're going to win this all. The players are going to stay.
on the show to talk nonsense.
And then, they're going to keep the team still.
They just hype the management up like, oh my God, it's season 2 all over again.
Shy as a god.
The return of Mad Life.
Hey, Mad Life actually played pretty well.
Yeah.
It was kind of he was less corpsey than the other 3. Coco had something to defend
Coco
on.
was fantastic.
Coco was
Yeah.
awesome.
Man,
Yeah.
this kid, damn, he needs to be on a good team.
So actually, like looking at the KT games where they played Fixer, I was just gonna compare it quickly to the few games at the beginning of the summer split where LGD played. They didn't have PYL because he was going under surgery.
Okay.
They looked completely lost. It's basically you take the brain out of the team and you have no idea what you're doing.
The one game they won was TBQ hard carrying on Lisa.
God, I don't even think about that.
I don't want to think about this series. Why did you bring them up?
So I'm hoping that Pickaboo does play in this series because I really want them to destroy CJ. But it would have been better if a Netcafe team beat CJ. Emily, what's your thoughts on this series?
Oh God. Well, obviously, I want KT to beat CJ. I particularly want Score to outperform Ambition.
Since this is Score's one true test.
Yeah, like
His true purpose in life is to destroy him.
it's
All
just
remains of
destroy
Ambition.
ambitions and dreams. I think if KT plays Pickaboo, they should win. Aside from like the crazy Coco hard carry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is entirely possible. Like
Yeah.
I honestly don't think it's a lock, especially since KT hasn't been wholly dedicated to playing Pickaboo. Like maybe they're giving him a break or whatever. Like they just also came back from the World Championship, so who knows?
All right.
But I'm still picking KT, provided that they.
What's the
they
score
play-
for you? KT 2-0, KT 2-1? It is best of 3 for 7,
I-
right?
Yeah, best of 3 semis,
Yeah.
best of 5 finals.
I think it'd still be Probably it's still a 2. Well, 2-0 if they. Depends. I'll say 2-1.
Okay. You're
CJ's
gonna
also
bank on the Coco
weird,
hard carry.
Like Yeah, like CJ's on some weird sort of last like they're in Mario Kart and they got that like invincible star right now.
So,
They're the blue.
So,
They're the blue shell, just
yeah.
they
knocking
can't
all
be
the
the blue
top
shell. They're
teams
not a
out.
Net Cafe team. Come on, man. No, wait. They might as well be a Net Cafe
they're
team
the
with how
retirement home team. Like,
little Shy seems has reported to be practicing. I don't know if he's actually practicing for this tournament or not, but like if he's not, then they might as well be a Net Cafe team. All right, that's why they're doing so well. Nasir, what's the score for you?
It's going to be 2-1 for CJ.
All right,
I think
Still low?
Disgusting.
Coco is gonna come up
Hardcore
big,
2-1.
and like the other dead bodies around him aren't gonna. They're gonna move around a little, make something happen. Return from
they're
the
gonna step aside.
dead.
I think it'll be a 2-1, 2-1 in favor of KT.
Okay.
Possible 2-0. 2-0 if they play Peekaboo, I think. But I don't know if they're going to be playing Fixer. Fixer's a good player, but
He's a good player,
I
but
think-
like Peekaboo is more central to the team than Fixer is. At
right,
least
right,
At least right now, he is.
right.
So that would make sense. I'll go with the 2-1 for KT. I'm used to be pretty disappointed by CJ. I don't expect that to be changed. So I think that's pretty much wraps it up. Unless you want to predict the winners as well, like KT versus. Well, okay, we already know that.
SK
Telecom's
I'm sorry,
winning,
we already
like-
know
Wait,
that
yeah,
SKT
is there
gonna
any
win.
other answer other than SK Telecom? Like,
That's good.
Okay, well, okay. Here's my question then. Do you think they're gonna SKT will 2-0 both KT or CJ, or do you think the scores are different? Do you think one team has a better chance against SKT right now, if they're not practicing after Worlds, or no?
it'll be a
No.
3-0.
2-0? Oh, 3-0 either way?
Unless SKT plays Scout.
Unless they.
Then they
sub-
might take the game.
Emily, do you think any one of the teams will at least win one game over the other? Assuming like if they go against SKT?
I think KT has the capability, but not the like organization within game. Like they have the pieces, right? But they can't get those pieces to actually accomplish the goal of defeating SK Telecom. So I don't see, and like CJ is just gonna get completely bulldozed.
Yeah, like.
I mean, I don't see a scenario where all three of these teams don't just get completely mowed over.
You mean two? Oh, you're
Or
including
two,
Ever.
yeah, I'm including Ever because
Okay.
I don't think that's even going to be like
Discussion.
honestly. If Ever actually takes a game to your prediction, like that will be
If Ever takes a game to at least to be even for at least 30 minutes, I'm gonna hold that over your head. If they can stay even for 30 minutes, I'm gonna hold that over your head. All right. That's my reasonable expectation. Nasser, do you think anyone, either KT or CJ, will take a game of SKT in the finals?
Well, Spenu got a game off, so why not?
All right. Which one?
Why? Either.
Either. Okay. You think
Spenu-
Coco or Hard
like-
Carrier or?
Yeah, I think either of them can get at least one game. It's not outside the realm of possibility, so it's possible.
All right. For me, if I think KT will get 3-0'd, but I'm gonna say this: if CJ somehow makes it to the finals and they're just doing this last hurrah for Shy and Ambition before they fucking boot them off the team, please let that happen. If that happens, I'd like to think that they take it to Game 5. Because if they make the final push for their wasted veterans, it could happen. 0.0005%. They've already made it this far. Okay, I don't even know how that's. Fuck
Yeah, but,
CJ.
like-
Fuck CJ. Get rid of those players. But if you're really gonna make it to the finals, at least go to Game 5 because we didn't have a Game 5 at Worlds, and I want to Vine pick him.
Yeah, I don't think that either team. I don't think either team match up particularly well against SKT. Like CJ's biggest strength is in like their late game coordination, where they know where they need to be. They know how to engage fights. They know how to play late game really well, but they're gonna get stomped. Like
Yeah, early on.
they're not gonna make it to the late game. Like
was
SKT
the
Snowballs.
Japanese.
SKT Snowballs. They don't throw games. Like they don't like whenever they get a lead, they win.
Mhm.
Like you can't give them a lead. And even against KT, I think KT's only. I mean, we kind of saw it back in summer finals. Like their only win condition was basically Peekaboo going off and just having a monster game, but he never really could. Like SKT shut him down, and it was that. It's a 3-0, and it was like the biggest stomp in the history of the finals. So SKT is just a tier above everyone else at this point. So no, I don't think anyone's going to take the game off them,
All right, that's fair.
except Spinu.
Yeah, Spanu is somehow
The
the
pocket
shining star of this
Vel'Koz.
tournament. All right, that being said, it was another short show. I already said at the beginning. We're going to keep these kind of condensed, specifically because we don't really know half the teams in this tournament, and it's only one tournament. So, thanks for tuning in. Do we have any shoutouts, Stillwell? Any shoutouts?
No. No shout out. Just follow me on Twitter. I mean, you see my handle there. I don't.
Your shoutouts are as barren as Last Face, but at least it's better than Razzleplasm's shoutouts. All right, Nasser, shoutouts.
Yeah, you can follow my content.
Your
on
mic,
Twitter.
mic soft.
Can you hear my mic? Can you hear me?
Hmm?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're
Okay.
like
Okay. Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter, follow my content there. I wrote about GBM next week, who Janair announced will be heading to the land of the free
Money,
and the brave.
money,
Sorry?
the land of money.
And yeah, that too. Yeah, and hopefully I will announce something soon. I don't know when, but soon. Maybe next show.
Yeah, maybe you're gonna announce you're gonna get a better mic.
Maybe.
Alright. Emily, shoutouts.
Shoutouts to, I guess, Follow Esports. I've been doing most of my content there, even though I still do write for Liquid Legends and LOL Esports.
Mhm.
I just wrote an article on Svenu that I really enjoyed writing, and then I have another article coming out tomorrow. It's going to be on Jin Air, so look forward to that.
All right, awesome. Shoutouts to you guys for coming on the show. Shoutouts for the people who are putting up with us. We'll see you next week. I'm not sure when we'll do the wrap up show, but I'll announce it on Twitter. All right, thanks for tuning in.
Bye.